Good day, everyone. We will start shortly. Just give us a minute or two.
Okay, hold on. Okay, is everyone hearing me clearly?
Yes, we are.
Does let me know? All right, great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 9th Jamaican Developers Career Day. Okay, welcome again to our 9th Jamaican Developers Career Day. We're glad to have you all back. We're just 3 away from a year of Career Day, even though we did start in April last year. Today, we are going to be focusing on business development, and we have two very qualified speakers who have quite a bit, well, a very large or broad range of experience with, of course, concentration in tech and experience in how that can be applied to different industries. Of course, as usual, we have with us our co-founder, O'Shane Bailey. He is one of our organizers and, of course, the key person who determines or leads the strategic development, the direction of Jamaican developers. And as a reminder to those of you who may be new, Jamaican Developers is a community of thinkers, thought leaders, and innovators who are working together to not only build and leverage the development skills of Jamaicans, but also transform our country from primary produce a long time, but we are taking small steps to get there, inch by inch, and also working with other stakeholders. Your host for today primarily will be myself, Latifa Smiley. I am the communications officer for Jamaican Developers. And as I would have said at previous events, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, also if you'd like to present at one of our demo day events, then you can definitely contact me. So today we have with us Nicholas Key and Jason Scott, who will be telling us a little bit about their experience in the field of business development, particularly IT business development, as well as some tips for how you can land a role in IT business development, and also how you, what steps you need to take to hone that skill set in your profession. Today we're going to go, we're going to start with Jason, and I'm going to forgive me, Jason, if I don't go through the full gamut of your experience, but I must say that Jason is very experienced. He's also very, very passionate. And I'm sure that if you haven't heard of him before, you will as you join or get to know the communities. He's very active throughout the community and very active in our local space, especially when it comes to public-private partnerships that are trying to advance the tech industry in Jamaica. Jason is a tech entrepreneur who has a knack for marrying the right tech with the right businesses. He has been doing this for a very long time. He's presently the solutions engineer at Automattic, which is an international company. He's working in their VIP division, helping enterprise clients to operate at scale securely. He was also previously the head of digital transformation at GraceKennedy General Insurance and is part of the team driving digital transformation through the GK Group. He has also been a council member of JCS, Jamaica Computer Society, now the Jamaica Technology and Digital Alliance, and he has also lobbied for several different initiatives, including or open government, open data commitments, and open data initiatives, implementation of open data initiatives within the local space. He is also the immediate past deputy president of the JTDA, where he leads partnerships with the diaspora to enable people and businesses here in Jamaica, not only to get started in tech, but also to thrive as tech businesses, get funding, and also access to incubators or other resources that will help them to not only start businesses and contribute to our tech sector, but to do that in a very sustainable and scalable way. He has several years of experience in designing, architecting, implementing, and executing complex systems with while helping clients under the what and why along with the way. And so this evening, we'd like to hear from Jason about his journey to becoming a business development officer, a tech entrepreneur, and some of the tips that he has for persons who are starting or would like to start that journey. Jason?
Hi, that was a lot of words. Yeah, wow. So I didn't prepare a presentation. I thought this would have been a wonderful little, Q&A. So I'd like to keep that format. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. So yeah, started out doing what's that? Latifah?
So I was gonna say if anyone has any questions, they can just drop them in the chat if they don't want.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so started out as a developer. I just want to get that very clear. And I honestly just got frustrated with working with salespeople. They keep on selling, oh yeah, we can definitely do this with this Java can definitely do this, oh we can definitely build this system for you in 2 days, even though the dev team says it's going to take 3 weeks. And it got frustrating to the point where I was on a project once, and it's not the project manager, the what do you call them? Account executive, let's call it that. So they promised the client, oh yeah, man, we can get this feature out in by the end of the week. Jason and the team will get it done. And I said, no. I was on the call. I was on the call. I didn't realize I was on mute. And I just said, no, it can't happen. Like, we can't do this in 3 days. We need to test it properly. We need 2 weeks. And since then, slowly transitioned from a developer to a consulting point of view. Where as a consultant, you get to just advise and lead discussions. You get to, teach the people how the technology works or how it can work, and mixing and matching what you know as a developer with what they know as a business owner, because no one knows their business better than them. and then mixing and matching that with the right technology. So that then transitioned into where I am right now, a solutions engineer. All of my jobs have been some variation or some flavor of solutions engineering, or solution architecture. When I was at 10x, I was head of something. Primarily, what I did is we'd sit down with customers, we'd understand where they are, where they want to go, and we were building out roadmaps for them. So roadmaps based on tech, that's paired with the business. So you want to understand where the business is going, the best tools in the trade. You want to remember buzzwords because people like buzzwords. Business people like buzzwords that don't really care about the technical implementation about stuff. Buzzwords are the key to everyone's heart. And then from there, you need to make sure that you can deliver on it, which is the last part of it. So my journey in less words is developer to consultant, and then from consultant to solutions engineer, sales engineer, tech lead type stuff. When I was at Grace, see our question in chat. When I was at Grace, one of the hardest things to do was to communicate, to bridge the gap pretty much between the technical requirements and the business requirements. So you'd understand. Most people here, I'd assume, are developers or have a technical background, and you'll understand. That you need to make sure that you have like at least 80% code coverage when you're doing tests. You want to make sure that all the features are tested and documented well. You want to have direct interactions with the users of the software that you're building or the users of the services that you're building, and you want to make sure that it's done properly. But that comes at a cost. It comes at a cost to the business because the business job is to make money, and the longer you take to get a feature out, it's the longer they'll take to make money back. So you have to find this wonderful balance of how to deliver on the software without losing on revenue, and communicating that to the business is hard. And then communicating the notion of technical debt, which is something that you have to pay back eventually. If you want scalability, agility, you want high revenue, high profit margins, you're going to incur a lot of technical debt, and at some point in time you need to stop and take notes to then pay that off. So you need to have like a backlog sprint where you go through and clean out the bugs, or you want to go and look at what did you not do right in the first place. So Michael's question: how do you advise someone who wants to transition from traditional engineering to software engineering? Same thing I tell everybody: start off in testing. Testing allows you to use the software. You'll understand how it works. You'll understand how it's not supposed to work, and then you can give feedback on that. And then from testing, you can look at branching out into whatever else. You could become a what's that called again? A test engineer. So you'd be automating tests. You'd writing test scripts. You could look at becoming a system engineer. Understand how this thing works. You can look at coordinating deployments, moving into DevOps, moving into system operations as well. Or you could even transition from testing into full-on software development. So that's really the question. Well, Jason Clark did a okay job answering there as well. So that's really, I wish I had more questions. I wish people were just asking questions. Well, how do I transition from a software developer to business or that kind of stuff? But primarily, you really have to understand that you guys work with people. The main thing when doing solution engineering or business development in tech is that a lot of the people you're going to be talking to don't care about the technology. They don't care about blockchain. They don't care about DAOs. They don't care about any damn thing that you're talking about. They care about making money. They care about having profits. They care about how they can make more money or how you can save them money. So what I advise is work with people, understand the pain points from like a sales point of view, like what it is that is causing this person's pain, like what makes them want to have more money, like what problem would you be solving for them from a business point of view. Appreciate where they're coming from. Be very empathetic to their needs and their wants, and then you're going to have to look into the ethos to understand what kind of technology is out there that can solve that problem. It could be that it's not only, JavaScript. It could be PHP. It could be Java. I'm saying these things lightly because you never know. Not everything can be solved with a smart contract. Not everything can be solved with with C# or anything like that. It's really about finding the right tool. So in my case, right now I work for Automattic. Automattic is a parent company of WordPress. So the CEO of Automattic, Matt Mullenweg, is the co-founder of WordPress open source project. He then founded, WordPress.com, which is the largest WordPress multi-site, and WordPress VIP, where I primarily stay. WordPress VIP is in charge of all our enterprise clients. And you'd be surprised that, right now, the biggest issue I have is people saying, oh, I want to build a React application that can pull from the WordPress API to serve the content on the front end. I was like, okay, that's cool. You guys, you want to build a headless application. That's fine. Why do you need to build a headless application? Oh, because JavaScript is cool. It's not. It's really not cool. It's a pain in the ass. WordPress right now has the Gutenberg editor. You have tons of tools that allow you to build a site quickly and easily. And then using on the VIP platform, the way it's architected, the way we serve pages is quicker than SSG, which is static site generation or single site generation. We serve pages quickly. We serve all the content, performantly, as opposed to using some weird redundancy and serving the application 6 to 8 times across the world. We generate the site once and push it out. So when you have these conversations, you need to understand, like I said before, I want to keep on reiterating the point. What may not always be the answer. It may not always be the best answer. You're going to have to widen your scope. It doesn't, just because you're a JavaScript developer, just because you're a diehard blockchain crypto bro, doesn't mean that a DAO is going to solve the problem. Sometimes it could just be a simple Python script, to be honest with you. So it's understanding where you are and understanding where the technology is, and then bridging that gap for your clients. It's always putting a client first as well. Question from Mario: how do you move from software engineer to solutions engineer, and any certs needed for that? Yes, I wouldn't say there's certs, but I would recommend that you read broad and wide. So I am LFCE, that's Linux Foundation Certified Engineer, LFSA, Linux Foundation Certified, no, Linux Foundation System Admin, GFCE, Google Foundation Certified Engineer. Pretty much any cloud platform I'm certified in. They're all expired by now, but yeah, I did Azure, Google, AWS, I did Red Hat, and I did Linux. So that allowed me to have a broader context as to how general architectures perform. I started doing Cube, then I just didn't finish it because I didn't have to do it anymore for that particular project. But reading wide and reading broad to understand where the technology is going, what technology is there's a picture I want to find. It's called the what's that called? The hype cycle. There's the Gartner hype cycle. There we go. Let's find this picture and just share it with everybody. It's in the chat. So it's finding out where the particular technology that you're learning is in that hype cycle. So like right now, crypto is a big thing. NFTs, those smart contracts, they're like overhyped. So they're at the top of the hype cycle, and then you're going to figure out that it can't solve all the problems. Blockchain is just a fancy lick list, and you're going to be you're going to realize that it doesn't really solve a problem, or the problem you think it solves. And if you're going to go down to that drop of disillusionment, and then once you make it through that low point and you start to understand how the technology works, how it can be applied properly, you're going to reach that plateau of productivity. So understanding where technologies are. So I remember when Dart came out, 2015, maybe, I think it was RC1, Release Candidate 1. I thought Dart was going to be the best thing. Dartinium, the Dartinium editor, best thing, the write code once, transpile across Windows, Linux, Mac, and the best thing ever. But the Dart crowd died out. Dart became Flutter, and Flutter is the best for mobile right now, in my opinion. But then you have stuff like Go and you have stuff like Rust, which are solving that particular problem better than how Dart did. So to become a solutions engineer, solutions architect, it's really just understanding, reading broadly the various technologies, how they can be applied, what is best for what. So what is best for what and for who? Because you may want to take into consideration there are customers. I've had customers who are, Java based, and Java is not good generally. It it solved problems back in the day, but now problems are being solved better without it. So you can look at, if I'm going to a customer and they're a Java efficient, they're a Java shop, like they use, Java 8, 9. They're invested in infrastructure for Java. You want to give them a solution that is Java based. You don't want to give them a solution that is cloud, that is JavaScript based. You want to look at all the solutions in Java. They already invest in JMeter, they already invest in all these things. They're a Java stack company. Work with them. And then slowly, maybe if it's on that roadmap for them, you want to transition them from Java to maybe something more stable and sustainable like C#, which is well supported, well documented. There's a growing community around C# as well. That's one way to do it. Yeah, Tremaine mentioned it. So like a generalist view to software development. I agree. I am a Swiss Army knife. That's what I've always been everywhere, except front end. I despise it. So yeah, it's that generalist view to software development in the context of understanding businesses in particular verticals. So I've worked in financial services. I've worked in fintechs. I've done several startups. What's that? Retail, hospitality, distribution, warehousing, like every business vertical treats the same problem differently, which is why you have so many flavors of software. That's why there's so many flavors of JavaScript, because each flavor solves a problem differently. So that's my spiel. I would love a lot more questions.
What's the key difference between business development in software or in the IT space as opposed to all of those different verticals, given that all of them have a different perspective or approach?
Okay, so I want to answer Latifa's question first, and then go to Nathan's in the chat. So the different approach, some companies, it depends on the maturity of the client that you're talking to. O'Shane and I think Ryan is here, and I'm not sure if David is here. We've always had this wonderful discussion about value-based, what's it called, O'Shane? Value-based costing or something like that?
No, value-based pricing.
Value-based pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have value-based pricing and cost-based pricing. Each one works different for each customer. So across the verticals, as I say, it's on a per client basis, because you can have two clients. Like for example, in financial services, some people will understand value-based pricing versus cost-based pricing. Value-based pricing works on the principle of how much money am I saving you by implementing this solution? I want a percentage of that savings. Versus cost-based pricing is what everybody is used to. It's going to take this amount of time. I charge this amount of dollars per hour. So the total cost of the project is my rate times the length of the time. So working with different customers, you need to figure out, is it going to be a fixed cost project? Is it going to be a time and materials project? Or is it going to be some weird value-based price approach? Nathan's question, after you identify a solution for a client, how much of a hand do you play in overseeing the development? So Nathan, excellent question. I love this question. I love this question for 7 reasons. I won't list the 7 reasons. But reason number 1, I generally try to at least do a proper handoff to the development team that will be taking the project. So if I'm a consultant on a project and I am not leading the development team, I document as best as possible. how the solution should work, what technologies should be considered, and how the general approach what's the general approach that should be taken. I also usually accompany it with a wonderful architecture document, which is super high level and not tied to any technology. It's very agnostic. So, for example, I'll architect solution. I say this is a database. You're going to need a database here, like an SQL type database here, and a NoSQL database here, and a caching layer between the two. I'm not saying use Maria or use Aurora or use MS SQL or use whatever, or use Redis or use whatever. I just saying you need to RDS. You need to use a SQL database for this or a NoSQL database for this, as well as a caching layer that should work like this. So generally, that's what I do, and I hand it over. If it is that I am going to be working with the customers, I generally stay with the team for 6 weeks. Do a proper knowledge transfer, a KT, and then chop off. In other approaches, my favorite approach is to get a paid POC. So a POC is a proof of concept, where the client will pay me to show them that it can work. It's not a well-architected solution. It is not the solution. It is a solution. And then depending on how the POC goes, if it is successful, we can take that POC as like boilerplate, scrap it down, and then contextualize it for that particular business. So like I mentioned earlier, I would do a POC, for example, using a Jamstack approach. But let's say they don't want to use Jamstack. They want to use something else. The POC would guide them along how to implement it using that approach. Hope I answered your question, Nathan. If you have any more, just drop them in the chat. Shavar asks, what would you say would be your most important factor to your success? Smart. I don't know. I'm just joking. I'm actually smart. Just reading, honestly. I read a lot. I work on a lot of projects. I do things I don't like to do, like use Java, use JavaScript. I go into technologies that I don't like, and I learn them a lot. So that's if I do come up against, the bros for that particular technology, I can speak to it. I also work under very smart people who have been there, done that, and I can learn from their failures and learn from their experience as well. But definitely reading, looking at solutions that you've done, re-architecting them in different areas. So for example, well, I'm lazy, so I would use something like Ansible, or well, Ansible is old. I'd use something like Terraform to build a solution once and then deploy it everywhere. Mark Anthony, which Mark Anthony is this? Interesting. You said recommending starting as a QA, then going to automation and branching into specialization. When did you feel ready to become a solutions architect developer? What was your first project and your most notable success and failure? Boy, to this day, no, I feel like I'm ready. For me, I never felt ready to become a solutions architect until probably 2019. I started a new job working at Innovate 10X, and it was just thrust upon me. It's like, yo, you should do this. Like, you're good at this. And then everyone is saying, yo, you're good at this. You can write the code, you can write a business plan, you can mix the two together, you can present it, people understand it, do it. But yeah, it took a lot of convincing. It took a lot of, reading more online about how businesses work. Started thinking about doing, well, I'm going to be doing an MBA at some point in time just to get more of that business acumen. But it's something that one day you're just going to wake up and find yourself in it. So I wouldn't say that, you're going to feel ready. You're just going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, oh yeah, doing this. And then the thing that did it for me, one of my biggest fails, I was doing a project for a local bank out here. And it was hubris. So I had said, this is how we're going to do the solution. This is going to work. This is, we're going to, I think at the time I was using Flask. So it would have been a Flask app. So I said, we're going to write this application in Flask. It's going to be so cool. Everybody's going to like it. And then we can transition it into, something later. This is before, Angular. This is before, the birth of Jamstack. So We're going to write a Flask application. We're going to use handlebars or something JS, one of the basic JS languages to render the front end. And then we're going to be happy about it. So presented it to the client, wrote a proposal, scope the project appropriately. And if this is Mark, as I think it is, you probably know this project. And I was working with a designer who wears glasses and likes to fish. And we did a wonderful presentation. Client signed a contract, and then I was now on the hook to deliver it. No problem. We go into, we begin the project now officially. And immediately they said, hey, we don't use Python. We're not installing Python on the servers. We're not installing Flask. We're not installing anything. We use Java and this weird PHP framework you've never heard of. And immediately, draw breaks from the project. That project became 4 months overdue. It was delivered. It's being used. It's still up and running. You probably use it every day if you're a client of that bank. Yeah, that was the biggest fail of my life. I got draped by my CEO. I got draped by the bank CEO. I got draped by the bank CTO. I got draped by my mother. I got draped by a lot of people. They're like, Jason, I can't believe, never da. But in failing horribly, is where I realized that, like I mentioned earlier, it's about contextualizing your solution for your particular clients. Just because, you think Flask and Python could solve the problem doesn't mean it will solve their problem. Their problem is, Java and PHP based. So you need to look at the Java and PHP based approach. My greatest success is, oh boy, my favorite success is working with another client, and we were given a large data set. We had to build a POC, so we're paid to do the POC this time. Good money. We had to, it was a data set of roughly 200 gigs in some weird, dirty JSON-esque format. So I had to clean all that data. So I had to learn a tool. Well, I used a tool called JQ to clean it. I don't believe in using Clover or whatever ETL tools exist. They're all lame, in my opinion. I'm a Bash Python JQ guy. So we clean the data, drop the data nice and stable at 200, a bit over 200 gigs, like 197 gigs. And then we had to move all that data from wherever it was into the POC environment. But you can't really move 200 gigs on AWS like that. It's going to be expensive. So we built the application, and we put an API on like a very basic API on the data set, and then stream the data over. It would always call the product in real time. We did this wonderful thing with Redis where we cached some keys. So once you ask for a key, the cache would then know where to look in the data for it. It was really, really cool. Like, oh my God, I love that. Client loved it. They signed a contract. I got kudos from all of them. They're like, oh my God, Jason, that's so cool. Congrats, they signed a contract, and I got a raise. Yeah, I got a nice raise for that. One thing I want to mention as well, a lot of people don't call this out. If you're a solutions engineer, usually in a company, you reside in the sales team. Not sure how many people here know, but usually in sales, your compensation is based on commission. But because I'm not a salesperson, I'm treated as a software developer. I get a software developer salary. So it's the best of both worlds. I'm a software developer that gets, good software developer salary, and a salesperson who gets commission. So for all the deals right now that I help close, I get a piece of that. So on top of my regular salary, which is good, I get more money, which is better. So if anything, take away that. If you're in tech sales, you will be well compensated. Shavar asks, do you recommend just jumping into a job if you don't have a lot of experience, technology that's required? No, that is stupid. That's how you fail. I believe you should jump into a job if you don't have a lot of experience, but you're very familiar with the technology. So let's set that again. If I believe that you can jump into a job that you if you don't have a lot of work experience, but you have a lot of practice with the tool that you're using. So let's say you're using Vue or Vue, React. Let's use React. I think that's the most common one now. React.js. And you're really familiar with React. You have done a lot of open source projects with React. You have built things in React that you don't need to build. You have solved problems that don't exist with React. You're very familiar. You're well read. Like you've replied to Stack Overflow questions about React, and I call you or Shane calls you, or you're in the group, and someone says, "Hey, I need a React developer to help with this particular thing." I believe you should jump right in because you have done things before, and I believe you would have the aptitude to learn as well. So if that's the case, yeah, jump right in. Be very clear, saying, "Hey, I don't have much experience working with large teams, but I would like to use this opportunity to learn. Here are the things I've done before," and then take a very clear and transparent approach, making everyone know what you're doing at all times, asking for help. If it takes you more than 30 minutes, you need to ask for help. And that should get you where you're going, Shavar. You can just join the Telegram group. Like, that is a wonderful support system as well. If you don't know anything about a thing, come to the group, ask the group. Somebody there must have done it already or knows where to go. And we're more than willing to help. Mark Anthony, thanks Jason as a QA, hearing these stories, kind of exciting to prepare prospects. Yeah, man, as a QA, I think QA is the best thing ever. You get to understand the user pain, you get to understand the business pain, and you also get to sit with the technical team to understand how they arrived there and how to solve that particular problem. And then from that point, you can then decide where you want to go. Do you want to become more of the business side of it to help solve those pain points, or do you want to become more on the technical side? And then on the technical side, do you want to become a QA test engineer? Do you want to become a software developer? Do you want to become a system engineer? Do you want to become a UX UI designer? It opens up the door to a traditional quote unquote career in tech. I'll take more questions, or if Key's here.
Yeah, we have about, if anyone else has any questions, we have about 3 minutes, but otherwise Nicholas is ready.
Key, the legend, Kelp God, Crypto King, man, the legend.
Okay. So before you start, Nicholas, let me just transition. All right. So before we move back to general Q&A, which would be both Jason and Nicholas at that time, let me just introduce everyone to Nicholas. Right, thank you, Nathan. Well, that would be on behalf of Jason. So Nicholas is, I'm sure if you have not seen any newspaper articles about key farms or detangle, it would be a good idea to just look those up afterwards. I think that the initiatives that Nicholas has started in our local space are very much worthy of being, well, we should all be aware of them. They're very exciting. Of course, he'll speak more about that, but just as a brief or my disclaimer, okay. So Nicholas is the founder of Sub and Key Farms. He is also founder, is an entrepreneurial polymath who cares deeply about the things that disrupt the narrative and create exponential change. And of course, this, when you hear more about the things that he's done, really explains what his passion is or why he would choose these routes. His areas of focus are and experience in tech revolve around consumer app creation, AI development, blockchain, data privacy, digital literacy, and his software engineering background. He has worked very widely in civil society and non-government organization space, both as a lobbyist and as an activist and implementer. ecosystems at scale, and particularly for underrepresented communities all over the world, and lobbying for the creation of technologies that cater to the diverse global south. Nicholas was a part of Youth Jamaica, aside from his association with Key Farms, a soup and the Angle, and I'll let him tell you more of that. For those of you who would be familiar with Coast of the Caribbean, he was also one of the primary organizers for that event, which was one of, if not the largest hackathon in the Caribbean. And so with that, I'll turn over to Nicholas.
Thank you. It's very long and elaborate. Thanks, Latifah. Hi, everybody. I'm assuming you can all hear me. Yes?
Yeah,
okay, great. So I think what I'll do is probably give some high level, I guess, implementing to where I probably delved into biz dev specifically through different channels, and probably pick up on some of the things that some of the core things that Jason would have probably already mentioned. So I, like Jason, started as a developer. My trajectory was a bit more nuanced though. I guess instead of diving straight into said path, I really kind of took the road of going product management first, and then attempting a company, and that was kind of like my first introduction into biz dev. And I probably mentioned this as like probably like a win and a loss. So at the time, at my first introduction to biz dev, I was doing this like insurance-based startup, and so I was mainly in the San Fran Bay Area with my co-founder at the time. And so what we had done was to create a SaaS platform that would aggregate as many like eccentric data points and produce some kind of scoring result for insurance companies so that they can adjust the premiums accordingly, and accrue the most value from their prospective clients, and then also charge them accordingly. And so we did that for like probably 6-7-ish months. And the way how we got the first customer, or rather the way how I got the first customer, was mainly through attending like a lot of industry type events, and then trying to capture 1 or 2 prospective clients, and then going down the rabbit hole of doing as much due diligence on their particular problem to then present like a proposal or even like a pitch deck for any form of solution that they might be looking for. So we would probably A/B test a few MVP variants so that they can test it out and see if they like it, and so that we can probably win them. I did this for probably 1, 2, 3 different clients. And then at an inflection point, we had lost all 3 clients because I don't remember exactly why we messed up or how we messed up, but it had something to do with like sharing the credentials of 2 of the clients, 2 of the insurance companies, and it was a huge data leak on our end, and so it had exposed a lot of the client data to the competitor, and that's when we kind of decided to dip. That was probably within this context probably the biggest win, and by extension biggest loss that I've probably had in the core space. It was what $100,000 US account that would have seen us rein in profits for years, and it was gearing up to be a long-term connection, and then just with one mistake, everything kind of was just lost. Aside from that, I kind of moved into the nonprofit space or the civil society with co-founding Next Gen Creators. And so we kind of doubled down on digital literacy across the Caribbean with a hyper focus on Jamaica. And so we did that by hosting events or hosting different workshops or introducing various developers within the community to different opportunities of either funding or job placements for different organizations, either locally or internationally. What else? Kind of just looking back at my own resume. And then I kind of dipped in and out of consultancy and also just full-time work at different startup companies. So I'd done a part-time and then a full-time for a blockchain / fintech company, and then an AI company afterwards. And so at both companies, at least from my experience, the lay of the land is a bit different with respect to what is expected. So within this scope for like one company, you probably find yourself just hammering down on a lot of due diligence on the space itself and the ecosystem and the main drivers, to even doing a lot of due diligence on prospective clients and companies that you probably want to accrue for your customers, to then drafting out potential hypotheses on solutions that could be had that that your core product can provide to them based on very specific problems that they might have. And so while that experience might be at one company, it could be just be churning out, pitch decks and doing due diligence documents and memos, investment memos is what you'd probably call them, or even briefs on an industry. In another role, in that other company was more salesy. And so I'd find myself speaking to a lot of enterprise related clients. And that, again, is just a different flavor. Still the same role. At least I've found that within the context of biz dev, you'll see and understand that it is really like a merger of sales and product management, and not really dev work, but some of the core things that are probably that you'd probably be introduced in the VC role if you were a VC. And that has been kind of just like my influx into the space. As a consultant, I kind of still do that on and off today. I've been interfacing with public sector, private sector, and the diplomatic sector, which all three are very different flavors. Within the public sector space, you can really expect a lot of bureaucracy, firstly, but also just a vastly different range of, I guess, ignorance with respect to particular products and services that you might probably want to develop or even bring to the table. So a lot of the work within public sector happens to be geared around hand-holding, like extreme hand-holding to the point where everything is very detail-oriented and documented. Private sector tends to be a bit more buzzwordy and kind of leaning into the interests of the hype a little bit to then craft out core solutions for them that would accrue as much profit as possible for that particular company. The diplomatic sector and space is a bit more ecosystem and community driven from, I guess, if you were to think of the public sector, but just on a bigger scale. So for context, I still do some work with the Commonwealth, but within that sector, you have to be dealing with different countries, different particular nation interests in order to come up with a particular software solution. And I think for the Commonwealth, I'd done two things. I was in charge of helping to create this community platform that all of the leaders within the Commonwealth would be able to interface in and just like accrue as much information and data about whatever is going on in the diplomatic space from the different Commonwealth countries. And so it really meant for me as I guess the biz dev lead, looking at the geopolitics of each country. It meant diving deep into each political interests of each country and the people that would be interfacing with the software itself, the software solution. It also meant just finding out who your champions, or I guess the internal ambassadors within each space across a stakeholder gamut to push for and advocate for change, or to advocate for the implementation of some feature or solution that could like amplify or impact whatever you bring into the table. And so I think that has been kind of like my overall vibe and in practice approach to BizDev. It has been mainly hands-on as opposed to theoretical. Sure, theoretical in some respect in understanding a lot of mental models and frameworks that can be implemented. But a lot of the work, just like honestly any other tech role or responsibilities, kind of comes down to just practice and diving deep and tinkering and making a lot of mistakes until something happens. And then once you find that something works, you kind of develop heuristics around that to then become better. But yeah, any particular questions? At least I think that's all I have from my end.
Yeah, that was quite a bit of buzzwords to take note of. Tremaine said mostly connections based. Could you clarify what that question is asking?
Oh, so good evening, everyone. I was just saying that based on the tail end of what Nicholas was saying, it goes to show the more connections you have, it makes business dev a little bit easier. And I know Nicholas to be that kind of, Ethernet of individuals to steal, what's your name, Dr. Carroll's phrase. So I see connections being the best kind of starting point to get his business your way, because I mean you'll be in certain circles and you'll hear certain names being called and you'll be like, oh, it's because of the connection. But I think if you're not going to be connection based, or you're not going to be trying to network and get your business there going, I think the best way that I've seen, and I think I've heard Jason mention, I think, about hackathons. Just kind of linking persons outside the country through these hackathons will help out a lot, because sometimes somebody wants to develop an app, and if you do it well for somebody outside the country, you're earning green money and you're getting that social capital that will extend far beyond the shores of Jamaica. And it happened for me, because I remember doing a hackathon locally, but I was interested in speaking to persons who were not from the country. And then once I did that, a year or two later, I was called to say, oh, well, Tremaine, we have an app we need to build. How can we connect? And that contract alone was enough to kind of get rid of those little small, little itty-bitty things that you not tend to do when you're here. So I guess the point is, yes, you have connections, but connecting to the international community through hackathons is also something that you can do to start a business development pipeline. Yeah,
and to piggyback on that, that's actually my origin story. I was going to class and I was invited to participate in the Slash Roots was doing a hackathon back in 2000, I want to say 12 or 11. And I went
Don't make it
and
sound that, oh, that's too far behind. That's 10 years ago, Jason.
yeah, it was 10 years ago.
It is
And
in geez, all right, you know what, let me not say anything. Let me
I
shut
think
up.
we were in the same hackathon, Tremaine.
Yes, we
And
were. Yes, we
yeah, and I
were.
came third. It was an AgriHack. It was AgriHack, and I wrote a bartending app. I wrote an app that had nothing to do with anything, and I came third. And then from there, I met my first investor. I met other people in the region, and I was invited to participate in another hackathon the next year, same year, and we won that hackathon. We went to the regional finals in Suriname. We won that hackathon, and then went to international finals. And they flew us to Senegal. And then in flying to Suriname, in flying to Senegal, we met people from all over the world. We got contracts, like Tremaine mentioned, to build, little one-off apps. But to a college student, $3,000 is a lot of money. Like, they're like, hey, we'll pay you on your team $16,000 to build this application for us. I was like, wait, what? And it just happened, school fee paid, sorted. So yeah, hackathons. I forgot to mention that. Back to Key.
Yeah, data on what you said. I've seen a question here on, I guess, what?
Yes,
How
Raheem.
long did it take to transition, or at least how long did you take to transition into product management? That kind of just happened naturally, and that's mainly because I wasn't just building for other people. I was already building things for myself and things that I would probably push to the table independently. So it kind of just happened at the same time without me knowing, honestly. It was very, very seamless for me. So I think what the trigger was that I think for one project I was moving into becoming a lead for the tech lead for that particular project. And then when we were at the closing offset project, I kind of just transitioned into the more product management role. And it kind of just happened. You kind of just have to let it, or at least that's how I found. And within the context of like product development specifically, it really zeroes in on listening and talking to a lot of customers, prospective customers, and observing a lot. And this kind of differs from biz dev a bit in that, sure, there's like a bridge of sorts, but biz dev is more, I guess, more industry aligned, if anything, more high level, more I think more ecosystem driven, if so. And sales, yeah, and so biz dev kind of just sits in the middle between product management and sales. And I think for me, frankly, I prefer product management. I'm okay with biz dev, and sales is annoying, mainly because I'm an introvert. So I'll do the first two, but I'll probably distract myself before attempting to do anything sales related. But I do have to do a lot of those functions regardless, just probably at a more minuscule stage.
How do you guys navigate negotiations? Like not only when you're discussing trade-offs with other stakeholders, but also like pricing negotiation. Is that also something that comes over time with experience?
Yeah, at least for me, for negotiation, it was really a lot of trial and error. First, you kind of go through the stage of like pricing something amateurly, realizing that you made a huge mistake after you probably made the bid or probably given that price to the customer. and then regretting said pricing, and then moving on to just learning from your past experience and then making better negotiation and pricing arrangements with new customers. So
Yeah,
pricing higher, yeah.
ditto. I had the same experience. You're a college students. It's like, hey, how much for a mobile app? You're like, how much money I want to make? And you're like, oh, $6,000. And you're like, all right, no problem. And they answered quickly. So that's the first red flag for me nowadays. If I tell you a number and you answer too quick, red flag. And then from there, you learn different approaches, like I mentioned when I was talking, value-based versus cost-based versus fixed price. If it's something that you can do repeatable and you're in control of the scopes, you're in control of the time. If it's templated, just do a fixed cost project, honestly. Like I will tell any college grad right now, if anybody asks to do a website, you need to start bidding at like $3,000, $4,000. Like do not 15 grand website, don't do not 20 grand website, because you're diminishing the work of everybody else. You start at like 250,000 Jamaican dollars or $2,000. Start there and then work your way up. If they ask for e-commerce, start at 6,000. If they ask for a mobile app, you starting at 10,000.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing, Jason. I don't want to cut you because this is something it's a big pain point. Oh, I did, yes.
Don't want to cut you, but you go on.
But so literally, like you have students will charge, you have people advertising on Instagram that have gone to big universities, the UWIs and the UTECs, and they don't charge a price for building websites. So when I meet some customer, when a customer comes to me and I showed them the gauntlet, they're saying, but I see it online for free. So I said, well,
so what I tell them is go get it for free and then call me to fix it, and I will charge you 3 times what I normally charge you.
But that's the thing. And I say I get that, but I think for the other persons on the call, because there's somebody on this call who is charging either low or free for the services.
So if you're on the call charging low or free, stop. You're making everyone's life hard.
Thank you. So I'm happy that it was said, because I was waiting to hear it. Because obviously, looking at what you're worth, think about how many hours you sit down learning React. You're not getting paid to learn React, but you're going to build a React site for free. There's a difference between building social capital and offering service for free. So yes, you may have an individual or a company that is, okay, I will do this at a reduced cost now, but going forward, I want to ensure that, I build a relationship so that everything will come my way. And I've done that before, to be honest. I have clients that are still coming to me and I have to tell them, boy, I don't have the bandwidth, right? So yes, so there's a difference where you cannot go into a conversation with a client and say, okay, I'll do it for free because you're hungry. If you get a big client, you don't have to be hungry for a while, right?
Yeah, and then that feeds into the question Ryan asked in the chat, how do you choose your projects? So this is something that is now near and dear to my heart. Somebody asked as well, so this is in relation to the question, things that you learned in your 20s that you wish you knew. And the one thing that I kept on hearing ever since I was even like 16, honestly, is choose one thing and be good at it. Like, that's what my mom told me. That's what like my mentors, Tremaine, told me when I was at Wolmer's. That's what a lot of the guys told me, that, yo, you need to, pick up a thing and be good at it. So if you're choosing a project, don't choose the project because, it's a big money or, it's a big profit. You need to choose a project that is good for you. Like, how do I choose my projects? If anybody asks me anything front end, I'm not doing it. If you ask me to build your website, I'm not doing it. If you ask me to think about what, I'm not doing it. The projects I take on are more consultative. Like, I don't want to write code anymore. If I'm writing code, it better be like Cube. It better be something like super, like backend DevOps related. I'm not writing code. So if I have to write code for it, I'm not doing it. I will, you guys see me in the group. I will fish it out to the group and say, hey, here's a project. that somebody who is good at writing React, who is good at doing Flutter, like you guys can do it. I'm okay at it. I'm not good at it. So you need to choose projects that play to your strengths. And if you can't do it, you need to be able to bring in, you need to be humble enough to say, hey, I can't write this application. I can't do mobile app development. I'm going to call someone who can and work with them. So if it is like, if it's $100,000 deal and it's a mobile app, you need to get that person at least 70 grand out of it. And you keep 30 grand to yourself just to manage the relationship at most. And you need to give credit where it's due. So yeah, that's my take on project choosing.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas, not Nicholas. I think you had your hand up, but
Tifa not hearing you.
questions in the chat first.
I think
Nathan, how do you manage building a big network while being introvert? This one is specifically for Nicholas.
Oh, I mean, honestly,
Am I breaking up?
I kind of just move towards people who have a genuine interest in what I like. And it tends, at least this is just for me, it tends to be a bit easier for me because I have a wide range of particular interests. Like I'm hyper curious about a lot of things. And so even if I probably don't have complete insight on something, I'll always just be willing to listen and learn and try to make unique connections between one industry and the next and develop analogies so that people can, I guess, get a bit of understanding from maybe my work. And that's usually how a lot of my relationships are built between tech, finance, and I guess climate change. And so I can probably give you one example. One of the clients that we had for Detangle specifically, I was just like working back and forth with the VP on this particular project. And like we just had frank and honest discussions on everything that we were probably up to just generally outside of work. And so I just happened to mention that like I run an ocean farm and, you know, doing stuff in climate change, like on the side. And so immediately he just like made a connection between what he knows that his friends are probably into to what I'm probably doing. And so I instantly got like a unique business opportunity and connection for like the ocean farm itself through that one connection. And so everything kind of just compounds after that. It's just kind of making connections, having authentic conversations with people, and then seeing and understanding the ways in which you can benefit each other in very organic ways. It's not even, it's biz dev is a very long-term play, like making connections and keeping them for a longer time period than I guess a rapid usual sales approach that everybody is used to. But yeah, I think that's what I would give for my answer.
Okay, and then question for both of you guys, what would you say about the importance of mentorship in this field?
all right. Before anyone answer, I'm just going to tap on to Nicholas' answer. All right. So a key part of building your network is pretty much making yourself known, even if you are an introvert. As you probably guess with Nicholas, he does tweet, even though you say that he's an introvert. The events that he keeps and other activities that he tend to do, people tend to know about what he's doing, and that just transition over to doing peer marketing, where one person, I know a guy that does this, or he does the job well, and that connection is made. So from my my viewpoint, like maybe I don't think I have a large network as Nicholas, but like when I went to Spain through Google of Summer of Code, like David tried to introduce me to someone in Spain, Spain as in the country, and like everyone else knew already met me. So David was like going around trying to find someone in the dev community that probably don't know me, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, we know O'Shane." Why? Because one, I produce my work, I show my work to the community, I communicate with them, know to let them know that, oh, I'm working on this. If anybody else is, having this same problem, this is how I resolve it, and so forth. And then you form, that relationship with other developers, and that those other developers will also make recommendation for you. Even though like that said community, I came out of it from 2017, like I'm still getting referred to, take on project for the prone community, and I keep on saying, I'm no longer doing dev in that. With, these type of events, it's also about, sharing your own knowledge, sharing and giving other people insight on, the road you took to, develop your skills and so forth. So like everything that you do, you also need to think about your career path and how you market yourself, because once you pretty much put yourself out there, market yourself a certain way, um, jobs and opportunities will come to you instead of you going out and trying to find those opportunities. Because as I said, the quality of your work, the quality of what you do, and how you share it with others will speak for itself to make others feel empowered that you're the guy to talk to, you're the guy that know these type of things, and you're, the guys to do these type of work for them. So definitely, ensure that you market yourself, whether it's just simple tweets, simple, okay, put up a GitHub page, indicating what you do, share some projects, whatever. Ensure that you do market yourself. It will generate a lot of avenue and opportunities for you without you doing like the active hunting. So I just wanted to plug that in. So yeah, you can go ahead, Latifa.
Yeah, ditto.
It's
100%.
it's on that also.
Okay,
Oh,
thanks, O'Shane. Yeah, Nicholas?
yeah, I'm just remembering the question that you had originally asked about. We said what, mentorship? Was it
Yes,
that
the
one?
importance of mentorship in the field. Yes.
I I don't really do well with mentors, if I'm being honest.
Channel. All right, sit down. Let me take the floor. Mentorship. All right, so Nicholas, I did the question. I was in the chat as well. Like, ironically, I'm not an extrovert. I just like have extrovert energy, and then like I will disappear for months, and then you can ask my closest friends. I don't like large crowds. But mentorship is the cheat code that I found to work. So my mentors are JJ Wax, Jeff Waddington, Stacey Hines, Sheldon Poe, Andrew Nooks. These are my 5 mentors. Easy. It's like I can ask me a while ago, I can reel them off. These are 5 people I can
Love the
call.
range of
Yeah.
expertise. Like each of them is a different
person altogether.
expertise.
And what I believe mentorship is the cheat code, because like JJ know everybody that is anybody. Jeff was my former boss. He's CEO of Real Decoy. I can show up at his house right now and like he will take me in. Sheldon Poe, former CTO, JMB, CEO, Innovate 10X, board member for so many companies, IPP, IPPP, JCS, Stacey Hines, IPP, JCS, board member ICD, board member for like half of the companies that ICD owns. But they each have a specialty. One is strategy, one is technology, one is business, one is security. Andrew Nooks, well, no Simtai. He used to run security in Jamaica. And JJ, yeah, everyone has a specialty. So if I have a problem, I can go to one of them and say, hey, how do I do this? And then they can answer, or they can say, hey, reach out to my network, and then you will get like a golden welcome into whatever community. So like I stumbled into public service, like Jam Pro, doing the review of the various IT laws, was that the Data Protection Act, the Cyber Crimes Act, the NIDS bill review. All of that was just stumbled into because I was working with Sheldon, or I was working with Stacy, or I was working with Andrew. So mentors are people. This is what I was told by Jeff. Mentors are people who you want to be like them in half the time it took them to be where they are. So every one of my mentors, they're all, you know, well off in life, but I want to be where they are now in half the time it took them. So I want to learn from their mistakes. So mentors are the cheat code. Get yourself some good mentors, or some big brothers or big sisters along the way, and your life will be a lot easier. How would I approach a potential mentor? There's a guy I'm actually, this may sound away, courting to be my mentor. His name is, no, so he's a CTO, but he's a VC, a venture capitalist CTO. So I want to be like him. I don't remember his, crap, hold on, searching for his name. I don't remember his name, but I interviewed him at the JTDA conference. And in talking with him, I thought he was cool. And I was like, hey, can I reach out to you after? And he said, sure. I did him on LinkedIn, so he knows he's professional. And I started speaking to him on LinkedIn. It's like, hey, you know, I really like the approach you took to answer the questions. I really like this. I really like that. Can I take an hour off your time each month to run some things by you? And he's like, sure, no problem. This is somebody I do not know. So I would say if you're going to approach a mentor, be very clear about your ask. Like state your intent from day one. And when you do get that meeting, have pointed questions that like ask specific questions so you can get specific answers. Don't be like, yo, Medea, tell me things. Like you go there, it's like, how do I X? How do I Y? This is a situation. How do I get from A to B? And you can lead the conversation from there. And if it's a fit, it's a fit. If it's not a fit, it's not a fit. And you just move on with your life.
To tap on to Jason, I'm more towards like what Nicholas said earlier on about mentorship. But I can say, all right, when it comes on to finding good mentors, yes, a lot of sessions keep in Jamaica with well-known people across the globe. What I find is that yeah, a lot of most of the time they are willing to share, they're willing to talk and so forth. But it's all about you presenting yourself. Remember, people that are in high position value their time mostly above everything. So when you come to them, they're willing to share, they're willing to talk. But you should also, you know, present your question, present your acts and so forth in like a value-based type of statement to show that one, you're interested, two, you know, you're not playing around. You're really serious about, you know, tapping into their knowledge base, a network, whatever, to really garner all of their knowledge to help you to push forward. The other thing is that like I've seen where someone, you know, got a good mentor, you know, mentor gave them some tips on how to do this, that, and so forth. And then it took like a long time to, you know, for the person to, you know, do it, or didn't follow the advice, and then something bad comes up. It resulted in something bad because they didn't follow the mentor and then went back to the said person. Like things like those, yeah, it will stray away like good mentors from you. Because one, if you're going to do something else than what recommended, it's not like they're saying this is a must do, you know. it's more like a recommendation, and if you think there's something better, have a discussion about it, because they also want to understand your train of thought to then help you and say, okay, that's an interesting way, and why not add this to it, or say, oh yeah, that's good. So having a discussion, and be precise, as Jason said, you really generate a lot of wealth from it. For me, I do have temporary mentors. I don't have a full-time mentor because I'm a touch and a go type of guy. I'll disappear quite often. So everyone that I have as a mentor know that I'll show up when I reach a point of success, or I reach a point of pivot, and then they'll just recommend, okay, you reach this point, this is how long it took you. I think you can make it shorter by doing this, that, and so forth. And I think this is your next step. But at the same time, like I said, I'm more on the introvert side. Always try to check in and keep up with the communication, because you never know, some of those mentors might be wondering how you're doing, where you are in your progress, and just need to know, So be clear, communicative, and frank, and value their time more than ever. So
Yeah,
those are some touch points.
I think that's probably one of the reasons why I don't really do well with mentors either. It's the lack of communication from my end, or rather the
Yes.
requirement that usually is the requirement for communication is kind of heavy for me. Because more often than not, I'm either in the building or selling mode. What I have to say though, I do have, and it's kind of touching on Jason's point. So I do have an executive coach, but they're more tailored towards climate change. And that's mainly because I'm a bit new to this space, but I can draw a lot of analogies and connections from tech into it. But I still kind of do need a proactive guide with respect to developing a lot of strategy and understanding the landscape itself to then take full advantage of it. Mentors, yeah, they're very reactive, or I guess they're more tailored to a more reactive modality. And so usually if I need a problem that has a reactionary feel, or rather if I need a solution to a problem that is very reactionary, I kind of just hit up somebody who I might know. They tend to either be my friend or know somebody who might be more suited to solving that problem. That's usually how I get, a lot of my problems solved. The more reactionary problems solved.
Okay, great. Jason, just before I end this point, do you want to touch on the difference between mentors and coaches?
Oh yeah, I can dive into that. I don't have a coach. I want one, but I'm very picky. I need someone who's like exponentially better than my mentors and like exponentially better than me. I need someone who has done it before to coach me. So that's why I don't have one yet. Pick up keto. Like I've been searching and I can't find one. Mentors though, mentors are people you go to for feedback, or you can think of them like your big brother, your big sister, parents, teachers, not teachers, parents, those elders in the community that you're walking home from school and them say, young boy, you can't, and them sit down and reason. Mentors are people you can sit down and reason. There we go. About, life, career, that kind of stuff. So it's more like, so like me and Sheldon would say, I go to Sheldon House and sit down, and we sit down and we drink and we chat and we go over, what I've done, how could I done it better, and things I want to do. And they're not beholden to your success. Like they are not responsible, this way sound weird, for your success. Your success is your success. It's on you to be successful. So mentors are nice. They're very good to talk to have context for a lot of things, or to reach out to experts in to like grow a network, for example. Coaches no. Coaches are, it's their job to make you succeed. Like if you go to the gym and you have a personal trainer, your personal trainer's goal in life is to make you stronger, or to make you more flexible, or make you limber. If you're on a basketball team or a football team, the coach's goal is to let the team win. It's not to sit down and meds with the players and see how them day going. It's like, yo, I don't care. Like you need to be performant. So that's what coaches do. That's how coaches come in. So that is what I think the fundamental difference between a mentor and a coach is. And at a point, all my mentors have got professional coaching. So at a point in your life, you should be able to say, hey, I'm not sure what more I can do. I would like someone to guide me along the way. And then that's where you get a coach. So yeah, that's the difference in my opinion. Or like key, if you're entering a space that you want to enter, but you don't know how to enter it, a coach in that field could lead you along the way. For example, like if I wanted to enter professional tennis, I would have to get a tennis coach and then learn the sport properly, learn the technique, and then execute from there.
Yeah. Another thing that the coaches actually do is it's kind of like therapy, but for, I guess, a career in some sense.
Career therapy.
Like
yep.
Career therapy. That's pretty much what it is. And so they constantly remind you of a lot of the mental models that you should be following throughout your entire career, or whatever role or responsibility that you're taking up. From in my case, of course, I'm the CEO, and so I'm constantly being reminded of the mental models that I should be adopting, especially in many cases where I tend to sway from them a lot. And so they kind of just keep you on track. And I meet with them twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, depending on where I'm at. But yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So final pulse check, because we are at 7:30. Just final pulse check if anyone has any additional questions before I close off. Shane?
Well, Colin has a question. Colin, you can unmute and go, and then we'll wrap up afterwards.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, I wasn't here on time, but I've heard of a discussion where, it came with charging for projects, right? And these are high value projects. And my question now is that how can you reach a point, right? Because I'm a software developer now, and I want to, have my own team for myself. So I want to know, how can you reach a point where it's okay to charge that much for a project, because I can't do that right now, right? And how can you have a system in place to ensure that, this is a viable business model? That's one question that I always had.
So you mean starting a software development firm or a agency?
Yes.
That's a tricky question. I've seen them come and go. And I've seen some who miraculously exist through, I don't know how they're still alive to this day. So in the case of those that are, alive and surviving for some strange reason, they're really good at one thing. Like I mentioned before, like they're really good at solving a particular problem, and they've locked in a client for like 10 years or something like that. So they have continuous development or continuous engagement with predictable revenue for the life of that contract. So that's the one thing. Okay. The other side of it now is how do you go about building an agency? So that's a trick question. It's a tricky question to answer, because I believe that if you are going to be doing that, you have to have 2 things which are very important to build a good agency. That is, you need contracts. You need 2 or 3 like key clients. Let's call them that. So that these are the clients that will, you like 5-10 year contracts. So that's predictable, repeatable revenue for the next 5-10 years. That's half of the problem. The other half of the problem is you need good developers. And I can tell you, well, you should be able to tell yourself, keeping good developers at a company is hard because people want to start their own shop. People have ambitions and they have things that they want to do. So it's a balance between getting those contracts as well as keeping and attracting and keeping talent. I don't know how you want to go about doing that because I can't tell you what I would do because what I would do definitely won't work for you. Not saying that I'm doing something unique. I'm just saying my approach to a lot of things is different from a lot of other people because of everybody's different. So you have to just find. So like Real Liquor, I will always recommend if you just graduate and you want to start job as software developer, go work at Real Liquor. Like, hands down, is one of the best software development companies in the Caribbean that I've worked at and I've worked with. I was there for 4 or 5 years. I'm still there technically. But 4 or 5 years I've been there. I learned everything from basic development all straight up to biz dev. They have tons of opportunities, tons of projects. It's Canadian based, so you can travel every now and then. Well, COVID, I'm not sure what's going on now. But the way they did it is that, you wear t-shirts and jeans to work, you're a software developer. If you have a client meeting, you dress appropriately for the client meeting. But the projects that you're put on are all usually diverse. So they have a nice culture there. It's like a Google-esque type vibe. There's a foosball table, bean bags, energy's there. Some people in the chat are actually from Real Liquor. We have they used to have regular meetups. So, celebrating the staff, acknowledging accomplishments of the staff on various projects, acknowledging personal accomplishments, working with staff to help achieve what they want to achieve. So Real Liquor they still have it, a gym subsidy, as well as a learning fund. So if I actually bought several books from that. They're over there on my desk. If I saw a book that I wanted to buy and learn from, I could. If I wanted, all my certifications really quite paid for them. Put it that way. My
That's
Google,
cool.
AWS, all of them. So it's you have to look at the two sides. You want to build your business by having sustainable revenue, good contracts, good clients, and then you want to build your business by having good staff. You want good people, but you have to develop and grow those people. You have to invest your time, your money, and your persona in those people as well. So it's a balance. I don't know how you want to do that, but if you could have the best contracts in the world, I've seen this happen. You have like $1 million contracts, but you can't deliver on them, and know you're a sham. Or you have the best software developers in the world, but you don't have good contracts. I know you just have people sitting down soaking up in AC. Is an interesting balance. So I know I didn't answer your question, but I hope I've given you more context into how to go about solving that particular issue.
Yeah, I appreciate the insights, man.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nicholas, do you want to chime in on that before I close out? And then you could end with just how persons can reach you, and we'll close out the event after that.
No, I think Jason kind of covered most, if not probably all of what I would have probably said anyway. I guess the last piece of advice, just get started or talk to people, understand the landscape. And another thing I wanted to say, probably if you were supposed to, and this is for Colin, if you were supposed to do something like this, really double down and hyper focus on one specific problem that has room for exponential growth if a solution was to be implemented. And that's where you'll find the gold, really. But yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you for that one.
Thank you.
So we've realized the recurring theme is be good at one thing. Focus is a very that's a recurring theme. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's
It's very
literally
hard,
what,
but it's necessary.
wait, continue, Latigo.
Okay. Are you guys hearing me? I know my connection is fluctuating right now.
All right, no problem. I'll close off. All right, so Nicholas, thank you very much. Same for you, Jason. But before we close off, two things I would like to ask you guys to do. Just leave like information that people can reach out to you, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, and so forth. So we will start with Jay, since Jay come before N. You go, Jay. So.
My Twitter is at Twitter. Hold on, I'm trying to get my Twitter account. I think it's Jay Scott, 2 Y's, 2 T's, JAYYSCOTT. Let me confirm that. But join the Telegram group.
It's on the slide.
Yeah, join the Telegram group. Like, I am there. If you tag me, I will reply. So yeah, do that. It is J_Scott, J_Scott_. That's my Twitter. And my LinkedIn is Scally, I think. LinkedIn.me. But yeah, that's where you can find me. If you're in the group, I'm there as well. I am advocating everyone, please join the group. The Jamaica developers community is a part of some weird connection to the JTDA, the Jamaica Technology and Digital Alliance. By extension, you're members of PSOJ. By extension, you're members of Jamaica Cybersecurity, Caribbean Cybersecurity Task Force. You're also jointly members of Jamaica Game Developers Association, which is not only Jamaica, but the wider community. And through Nicholas as well, you're a part of the, what's the blockchain group called? Whatever the blockchain group is, you're a part of that as well. So you can think of the Telegram group as a hub, and then from there you can be pointed to game developers, UX UI people. The various communities are all represented in that Telegram group. So join the Telegram group, and you can find anybody you want from there.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Mr. Meta Circles, Nicholas Key, you can go ahead.
I think he fell off.
I think.
Oh,
yeah. Well, he has to leave.
Okay.
But you can find Nicholas on LinkedIn.
And the group.
Yeah, or in the group or on Twitter. I think the easiest place to get him might be Twitter. Either Twitter or I'm not gonna say the group, but he's in the group. Yeah. Right, that's the group link, right, Jason?
Yes, that's the group link. See, I got
All
Cleon
right,
and
thank
Jason.
you. So if anyone is looking for, yes, I'll leave that alone for today. All right, so Shane.
Okay, thank you, Latifa. All right. So our next event will be Demo Day, which is actually next week, I believe. So the Demo Day, we have 2 presentations for that day, and we also have an upcoming Google Summer of Code presentation where we're going to look into how to contribute to open source, as well as reviewing some of the open source organization that got into Google Summer of Code this year. Of course, we held a couple events before. For those who don't know, Google Summer of Code is an international internship program that Google pretty much put forward to introduce students, and well, it's not only for students, it's anyone above 18 years old to contribute to open source. So you pretty much contribute to open source, get paid, and get mentored as well. Application is pretty much going to open soon. We have like several different recordings of Google Summer of Code, which including station from Stephanie Taylor, which is the program manager for Google Summer of Code at Google. So please check out that. I'm dropping the link for a YouTube page. You can subscribe and watch some of these previous recordings. in terms of opportunities, we are going to be posting additional tech jobs on our Seeker platform as well as in the various Telegram chats. So you can look out for any like dev, UI, UX, React, software sales jobs. As soon as we post it, we'll let you guys know. And lastly, I just want to give a big thanks to our sponsors, Particle Present, Vertis Technology, Osoba, and of course, Jason and Nicholas for presenting at this event. And with that said, everyone, I hope you enjoy the rest of the night.
O'Shane?
Yes.
Just a quick thing before the program manager call. Okay, so for those who are still on this call, we are going to be putting out a poster soon to try and get a program manager onboarded to manage basically the operations of the community. That's an extension to the volunteers that we're currently onboarding, mostly because Nicholas and O'Shane are heavily focused on the business side, and also because I will not be here in September, or at least my attention will not be on the community in September. So if you are interested, or if you know anyone who is interested, just reach out to us or look out for the official call in the coming weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks.
Noted. Thank you for that, Latifa. We'll send out the information in the group. So I guess with that said, enjoy the rest of the night. Those who love their supper, yeah, enjoy it. Those who have, code, documents or any schoolwork, all the best. Enjoy the rest of the night, people. Take care.